Alright.
Alrighty. You good? You ready to start?
Ready when you are.
Alrighty. So, would you care to describe your title and what your priorities are for this game in general?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a Wizard Saint. This game's been in TC for about 2 years. I joined later in the year. I joined like last year in June is whenever I joined. And the title pretty much signifies that I'm one of the top 10 players in the game. I'm currently ranked at number two. And it took me a little bit to do it. It took me like about 3 months to actually get the title. I ended up being one of the faster people to become Wizard Saint, but it definitely takes time and dedication. One of the big things is definitely mindset. Got to make sure that you're always being creative. You're always just trying to learn the new things, trying to make sure that you fix all your flaws, stuff like that. That's kind of what it means to be a Wizard Saint. You just got to be as perfect as you can and consistent. As for what we plan, one of the things that we're definitely planning to do right now is getting Cleric out. That's probably the first thing. As like some of the small like updates we plan to do right now. Now, one of the big ones we're gonna do is adding ranked, and this is actually going to do a lot for the game. Ranked in itself is going to be gigantic for just how players start to actually progress, because it's going to be a main progression. It's really going to be like each time you rank up, there's going to probably be like bronze, silver, gold, etc. Like different types of like ranks depending on what elo you're at. It'll actually upgrade your chest to be stronger, and what that'll do is make it to where the rewards are higher for your technique, magic power. It'll have unique accessories in it. It'll have all sorts of stuff. Magic rerolls, race rerolls, clan rerolls, and then you'll also have an overall shop that you get by winning. You'll get currency, and then you can spend the currency in the shop, which will have like magic rerolls, race rerolls, clan rerolls, all that, all the good stuff, bro, all the good stuff. And then now, if we're going by phases, I would say one thing that we're definitely going to do is classes and legendary weapons. We're definitely doing that after we get that out. Another thing too that you'll probably need is there's going to actually be like a main quest line that'll kind of help like push you towards the right direction. It's like a tutorial but in a main quest. And then you'll have the little quests that you do throughout the game to actually get stronger. And then you'll have a the next thing that we'll probably add after the classes of legendary weapons is probably going to be free roam. Free roam is going to be like it's going to be like a free for all, and there's going to be like a bunch of creatures and stuff you kill that'll give you like a unique currency that you can use to spend after the free roam, and you can only spend the currency in that free roam once you actually like exit it, and you can exit at any time you want. You'll just have to get to the exit point. So pretty much the longer you stay in, the more rewards you'll get, but also the more risk because more players are going to be trying to find you to kill you because players can also take the currency you have built up. So it's going to encourage PvP because you can take people's currency they got through fighting creatures, and then you can also like exit at any point. So that way, if you feel like you have too much valuable things, you need to get out of there. That way, it all actually saves, and it's going to have like a whole bunch of unique items in it that are just really powerful. And then obviously rerolls are going to be in this as well. It'll
Right,
be really, really fun.
right. And what is some very encouraging tips that you can give all beginners who are wanting to get into a game like this that would be very, very vital for them to know starting off the bat so that rather than playing the game and thinking it's too hard or not taking the time to try to look up or don't have the time to look up any information regarding the game. What are some tips you can give them that is extremely important and absolutely vital so that they can improve and progress pretty steadily within the game?
For sure, for sure. I would say one of the main things is probably just being open-minded in general. This game has a very different combat system, and we're kind of trying to lean away from what a lot of other people are doing. For one, we just feel like a lot of the games that are out right now just aren't up to par with what we would want. So one of the main things is making a game that everybody genuinely has been looking for a very long time, and that's kind of the whole focus. So you got to be open-minded. There's going to be new ideas. Everything's going to be like everything can be changed as things get tested, as we see what people like and don't like. Things are definitely subject to change. But as far as the combat, one thing that you definitely need to know is like the parry timings, because the NPCs will always parry after a certain amount of time. And once you get that timing down, you'll be able to bait people or bait NPCs by simply pausing. And this is going to be one of the best ways to fight NPCs. NPCs can be difficult, they do hit pretty hard, but they stay roughly consistent on the type of patterns they're going to do. So as long as you can memorize the patterns, you should be able to lock down NPCs pretty easily. You just got to make sure you know the parry timings. Once you know like how to bait the NPCs out, you'll have a very simple time with that. And then you just have to be really, really like you have to have a really good mindset for just PvP in general because there's so many players that are on so many different skill levels, even within the Wizard Saints that are top 10 in the game. Each one you move up is drastically more difficult to beat, and that's just kind of how the game is. Literally, the ceiling, like not even the ceiling, the sky's the limit. You can get absolutely as strong as you want. It's like Rocket League. There's infinite amount of text that you can create. There's so much like thought that goes into each battle, each movement you take. It's just so in depth that as long as you keep that in mind and you know that you can do literally anything, the only thing limiting you is your own mind, then that'll allow you to progress through the game much, much faster as you keep very open minded and trying to just find new things out because you never know what may work. Most of the stuff I made, I had no idea it would work. I just tried it out. If it worked, it worked. If it didn't, I just tossed it out.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what would you say is some important things to know about Magic? Because I understand that a lot of new players who are going to be trying this game are going to be wanting to get a particular Magic. What are some things you can say about Magic and as far as like skills and weapons and Magic go?
For sure, for sure. One thing that really matters with Magic is to know that it's not the main way to get damage off or to win your battles. It's more of a utility. So each one of your skills is going to have a very set purpose depending on how you want to use it and need to use it, that you'll need to give them moves. It's not something that you necessarily just throw out there to land or to like to land moves. It's more of like, all right, I'm in a situation to where I need it, and you'll use it here. And I'll give you some examples of this. For example, we'll go with like a teleport dash, right? This is a very common move. A lot of kits have this. You've got a dash, and it's mostly used to catch people. If somebody manages to get after your combo because he took too long, they dashed out, you now have the opportunity to catch them and get them back into combat. And this can also be used as just a way to actually get some distance. It can be used for a lot of things. It's got a different timing, so that's another thing to keep in mind. If the move has a different timing than your regular M1s, it can definitely be used for a tempo change to make it a lot harder. And then there's moves like have ragdolls and stuff like that. And just like if you're ragdolled, it's much harder to hit a parry in general because your camera view is different. So keeping that in mind, and it also puts a lot of pressure on the person too of being ragdolled or just moving around a lot. It's just going to create pressure, allowing for better better ways to bait somebody because they're more under pressure. It's going to be harder to bait or harder to hit a parry whenever you're feeling a ton of pressure. If that makes sense.
Gotcha,
And,
gotcha.
and just
Um,
kind of like classes too with magic. Classes you got to keep in mind of synergy. Something for an example is like Crush. Crush has like a move that actually works like a secondary evasive. You can pop it, and then if somebody hits it, it'll work like a parry. And then you use Shinobi, which has an evasive that you can use at any point. Like it's just once you hit it, you're completely out of the combo. It's got a long cooldown, a lot of mana take, but the good news is you have your parry, you have an evasive on your magic, and you have evasive if you already missed those two things. So it's a very strong synergy.
Absolutely. And what would you be willing to describe some of the four classes that we have currently in the game for all the new people who might be looking into using those classes and what kind of builds would probably be good for them? Just for people who are kind of interested in playing the game and want to know what classes would be good for certain things, because I'm aware that the Trello is definitely going to be revamped in time, but just for those people who are kind of want to know, like, while getting some information, what would be good builds and what the classes do exactly.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's not a ton of synergies that are really out right now, just because like some of the magics aren't really capable of synergizing with the class, but there will definitely be more in general. There are definitely a few I can talk about, but I'll definitely tell you about like the classes and the general idea behind them, and also like what's good about them. So the classes are going to be your main way to do a play style. Like classes are your play style. They change everything about your combat. They're all very unique for their own purposes, and you've got to make sure you know the purposes to use them to the full potential. Now, we'll start off with the mana classes because that's probably the thing that I am most well versed in. I've never been a strength player. I I use Prodigy right now, and Prodigy is probably the strongest class in the game because mana classes in general are going to be stronger because mana is mostly used for the classes. It has lower M1 damage. Strength is going to be weaker than mana classes. So Prodigy is really strong because it takes mana, and
Right.
each move will take 5%. The domain takes 2.5, I believe. And they have pretty fast cooldowns, so you can drain people really fast if you actually use them really quickly in succession. Now, one of the strongest things about Prodigy is the overall trickiness of it. The moves are very unique. For example, one thing is the mono domain. The mono domain cannot be parried, it can't be PB'd, it is unavoidable. So if you use it in a situation where you know somebody's about to PB, it'll play a quick animation. This can bait somebody's parry out, and it's just amazing for baiting people. It's really good for baiting people. It's consistent damage, and it takes mana. You have Prodigy. You have the what's it called? You have the multi hit in the kit. Forget what exactly the name's called.
I do
I
believe
think
it's called
it's Mana
Mono
Ring.
Ring. Yeah, Mono Ring.
Yeah. Uh, so this move is really good. It's a multi hit. Multi hits do a lot of damage, and it takes a lot of mana from you. And on top of monitoring doing damage, it's actually a pretty short range multi hit, and you can actually move while doing the multi hit. So one thing that you like one of the advanced techs that I like to do with it to bait people is walk in and out to where like I can hit them whenever I want, and then I can also like not hit them. So that way I know if they're about to use their parry, I'll walk out of range, let them waste a parry, and then go back in to hit them after they miss to catch them off guard. And the Monoseal, it's got a really high stun, but it's a slower move, so you got to make sure you're careful, or else it's pretty easy to PB. You usually want to use it mid combo if you want a little bit extra stun time on it, and it's really good for Dagger for that reason, because Dagger obviously lacks stun time. And some of the synergies with it would be like ABM. ABM is really good for drawn out fights because the passive does like percent HP damage. Prodigy is really good at long drawn out fights because the longer you last in the fight, the person's going to have zero mana for a longer period of time. So that's something that's really good. I don't think there's really much other synergies in the game for Prodigy that are just absolutely stand out. But there's a lot of things that do work pretty well with Prodigy. One thing you want to make sure on your move or on your magics in general when you're using Prodigy is you typically want quite a few range moves just because it's lacking any range moves at all. So you have to have a way to like actually catch people. So that's something to keep in mind when using Prodigy for sure.
Absolutely. And would you recommend Prodigy as like a starter class, or would you recommend that for more in game, or like when would you recommend trying to go for such a kit?
I would recommend using any mana class in general later down the line because mana in itself is much harder to use. The whole purpose of using mana is to be unique and have something really strong about you, and it's usually completely valued on the classes themselves. So I would definitely recommend using mana classes later game because they're all pretty unique and they all have their own they all have their own specialty and you have to really know like what that is and how to do it really well to really pull them off.
Got you. And what was the other mana class? You said mana classes.
Yeah, there's a enhancer, and what this one does is it's made to kind of mimic the damage of a strength user. You won't quite make it, but you'll get pretty close to it if you actually build your entire build around it. And so the enhanced move, there's one. It's a utility. You pop it on your sword. Has a blue aura that does 35% more damage, so it gives you 35% damage multiplier. Pretty strong. And then you have a slash, which it's really quick moving and it block breaks. It's one of the fastest projectiles in the game, so it's definitely really good for catching people off guard and catching people after you saw that they have their block up, because it's going to be pretty difficult for them to actually parry or release the block in time. One way to use it is catching in general. There's like a small frame whenever you first start your dodge to where you can catch somebody. And if you hit them with that, they'll be stunned. So then you can actually follow up and you can catch them and you can get them in a pretty massive combo. This works for both moves, Enhanced Step, which is the TP dash, and the projectile. Both of them are made to catch people. So the class in general is meant to catch people and boost your damage.
Awesome, awesome. And I know that there's two strength classes, and then there is one class specifically suited to speed. Would you be willing to tell people about the speed class?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll go into speed. The speed class is probably my second favorite class in the game. It was my favorite for a long period of time until just recently I actually ended up liking Prodigy more. Speed class, it's really, really powerful, especially if your defense is super good in general, because you have a move which is pretty good for baiting. It's a longer move. It takes a little bit for it to come out, but you have to have your cursor on the enemy. And once you are on the enemy, it'll actually TP you to them and instantly hit them, knocking them back and ragdolling. It's really powerful. Now, the downside to it is blockable, so you actually have to be pretty crafty about when to use it, or else it's going to be pretty easy to block. And then you have Revenge, which can be used actually as a counter. A lot of people don't realize that. Takes you up into the air, and this move gives you iframes, by the way. It takes you up into the air, and then you down slam. It's very baity because people will react to the first time you go up, because in general it just looks like a move that's gonna hurt, and then you go back down. So this can actually auto bait somebody if you're playing against somebody that's unexperienced. So it's definitely very good for that. And then you have the evasive, which is the bread and butter to this kit. This is why you would use Shinobi. Anytime that you are in a situation where you lost your parry, you can use it and just get out of free. It's like a get out of free jail card. Super powerful. I already mentioned the best thing for it is probably Crush. Another good thing for this, because it actually has two synergies, is Sky. Because Sky allows you to survive for a long period of time with the healing passive and the self healing move. So having those two things on top of having the evasive is just going to make you to where you last way longer in a fight than other people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, I do know about the brawler class, so to give everybody a little tip about the brawler class before he explains the last one, because I'm not familiar with it. The brawler class is a very high combo-based melee class with three moves that you can use. Lotus, which is its main kit skill for high DPS, is unparryable and it does a lot of just raw damage. It tosses you up in the air, which you can't block, by the way. And when you do get the damage done, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can also just combo that immediately into a skill pretty easily because it ragdolls, correct?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if a player is good enough to see the really small frame to be able to PB it, it is possible to PB. But if you're quick enough to where they don't really know where they are at yet, and you fire it pretty much immediately, then there's pretty much nothing you can do about it. It's just free.
As well as there is two other skills for the brawler class, which is the slam skill, which is a very blockable skill if you're going against someone experienced and you're just randomly tossing it out. It is only used to really combo extend once you've already contested the M1 damage, which does an immediate ragdoll and slams him to the ground, with which you can indeed continue your M1 combo chain with. Um, as well as it also has a uppercut variation of the slam, which does the exact same thing, which is really good if you're wanting to do aerials, but its only purpose is to also combo extend.
Yeah. But those two things are actually really powerful together, and I'll explain why. For one, your slam is actually hyper armor. You cannot cancel that move out. As soon as you press it, that move is going completely through and they're getting hit. It's also slower, which means it actually has a tempo change, which is like if you have medium or light weapon, it's really powerful for that reason because it'll like if you hit somebody and they're expecting another M1, you do a slam, they're probably going to miss that parry and they're going to get hit by the slam. So it's very powerful for that. It's a nice little tempo change. And the uppercut, it's really good because the slam is the best thing to use in the air. It is super powerful. And like I said, it takes a while for the slam to actually fire off, and for this reason, if you're on the ground, sometimes people can just dash out of the way of the slam because it gives them enough time to dash out. If they're in the air, their only option is to now parry the slam. That is the only thing that they have. And so as soon as they miss that, it slams them back down to the ground, and that allows you to combo extend, and it's a pretty decent sized ragdoll. So it's very powerful to use those two in synergy. Just because it's pretty hard to parry the slam because it has a longer time to actually fire off. It's got a pretty big startup.
Now, I know I use dark magic as my synergy for brawler. What would you recommend as some other good synergy magics for brawler?
Yeah, Shadow's definitely a pretty decent one. If I had to give another one, I would probably say Holy's probably the best thing for Brawler because it has an extra uppercut move if you're not don't have the uppercut actually on your martial artist anymore because you already wasted it. It has a dash that actually dashes towards somebody and it puts them into a air combo. And this is actually really powerful with slam because the dash itself is already pretty tricky. You saw somebody go to you, hit the dash. All right, you're expecting a regular dash move. You get brought up to the air. You're kind of like unsteady. You don't exactly know what's going on. You hit a slam after that. It's gonna parry bait most of the time. It's such a good combination to have, and then you just have like overall you have a range move. You actually have two range moves because you do have the dash grab, which uppercuts them, and then you have the holy roar, which is one of the better projectiles in the game. Block breaks, does some solid damage. It doesn't knock back, and it's just super powerful because as soon as it releases, it pretty much hits you. It's like a hit scan. And then you also have a Holy Ray, which is really good DPS if you're lacking some DPS, but since you're strength, you're probably gonna have pretty good damage. But that's kind
Gotcha.
of the overall kit for it.
Um, Good stuff. So that being all the classes and stuff, and what would you recommend as some good starter magics for beginners?
Well, there's one more class, there's Grappler.
Yeah, grappler. Yeah. Uh, but tell them a little more about grappler if you would.
Gotcha. The Grappler is pretty powerful because it's one of the only grab things in the game in general. We have like dash grabs, but there's not too many like close range grabs. All of the moves on Grappler have a very long stun time and do some decent damage. So this allows you to have more time to actually bait somebody because typically somebody will be able to get out of the combo if you take too long to bait. Well, since the ragdolls take a while, you're actually able to miss an M1 and then M1 again afterwards without being able to be punished for it. So it's definitely pretty powerful for just allowing you to have more bait time in general. This is really good for things like Crush or things that have like other close combat moves that just keep people like stunned for a long period of time because it just gets very frustrating very fast. And it keeps people on edge, which will make people miss their parry more often.
So, for example, like ADM and Holy would be really good synergies for that.
Yeah, ABM and Holy would be pretty good for these.
Awesome, awesome. Um, as to my previous question, what would be some great beginner magics you think for people who are just wanting to get good at the basic controls, and would be some pretty good magics for them to be able to easily land with while learning the basic combat tech towards the game.
Yeah, I think there's really only two that I would necessarily say are easy. Most of these magics have really high skill ceiling, but they're pretty hard to learn right off the bat. There's just a lot of depth to every magic, and it just comes down to your overall creativity. But I would say the two easier ones would probably be Magicless and Ice. And I say that because Magicless has some really powerful, easy to land moves. It has it's probably one of the best dash grabs in the game. It's really powerful, and it ragdolls afterwards. It's got a big stun. It's really amazing. And then you have a slam as well with Magicless, which also have has a large like stun, and it's pretty hard to parry as well because, like I said about the slam before, it has a pretty long time before it hits the ground, allowing you to actually bait somebody out if you tempo change really quickly. You have Ascension, which is going to be a buff on your body. Now, Magicless will end up draining your mana quite a bit because you don't have much mana to begin with because you're probably going to run zero mana with it. So for that reason, it's really nice to have Ascension because it gives you some mana back, and then you also have a grab move with it, which is a frame one grab move, and that makes it really difficult to parry. So if you know somebody has a parry, if you pop it, most of the time it's just gonna land, and it does a decent amount of damage. This is the only move in the kit that does scale with magic power, so it's pretty powerful for sure. And the passive on Magic List makes it to where you don't need to run mana to run the moves, so you can have a pretty high DPS build for pretty much no cost. So it's very powerful for just build making in general. Very versatile.
Gotcha,
And then
gotcha.
yeah, go ahead.
As far as guilds go, what would you what can you tell people about guilds that would be very very important for them to know?
Yeah. So one of the big things is that you probably want to enter a guild that's probably already founded for a bit. You want to probably choose a guild that has a lot of strong players in it, because the goal to this game is you want to become the best player you can. There's a lot of competition in this game. Most of the good players have been top players in multiple different games, even outside of Roblox. So it's good to hang around the competition and get to learn from them. And once you feel like you've gotten powerful enough to go on your own, that's when I would recommend to make your own guild. But I would definitely say just kind of using the guilds that are already pretty powerful to actually learn from the players inside of it and then drive off to do your own thing is probably the best method if you're wanting to make a guild. But being in a guild is very essential. You have to play with players. Games are meant to play with friends. So making friends and just like getting to connect with your guild and also just having friends to help grind with because it's just gonna make your progression way faster in general to have a guild. It's just gonna be amazing, and you can also do capture points and stuff whenever you're in a guild. So it's just very good. You always want to be a guild, always.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is there any little more information you could give as far as tips or any sneak peek info that you would be willing to divulge for anyone who may be interested in the game or already playing the game?
Let's see. Some tips. One thing that I would say for tips wise is to definitely get down to your movement in the game because getting as quick as you can to travel around the map will just make your progression a lot faster as you'll be able to get to point A, point B pretty fast. So I definitely think that's pretty important. And just but remembering to keep the mindset. The game you never have to worry about winning until you have something to lose. So always be ready to learn. Always be just trying to learn the best you can. Be ready to take some information. If somebody wants to tell you that you're doing something wrong, try and think about the situation and see if they're wrong or right. And if they are right, definitely try to change that flaw. Just always be open minded towards the people around you because a lot of people just want to help you out.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for your time, Kanji. Uh, it has been great having you for this interview. Um, and is there any last minute things you want to say towards anyone in the video or anything in general as far as just like personal opinion?
For sure, for sure. Um, First of all, I'm glad to get your attention, and I really hope that you guys enjoy this game a lot. We have a lot of major plans right now. I know Dan's been out, he's been pretty ill recently. We're hoping to get him healed, but as soon as he is healed, it's going to be just nothing but nonstop updates. We have so much planned for this game. This is only about 3% of the game that we actually have planned. We want to make this the best game on the Roblox platform. So I'll be excited to have you guys, and I'm always here to help train you. I'm always here to fight and give you tips. So if you ever need any questions, just come to me, and typically I'll have an answer for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you everybody for watching. I will be sure to link Kanji in the description below. He is one of the Wizard Saints, and I'm pretty sure he's been making content and will be continuing to make content on this game. So please feel free to give it a check out because it is definitely going to have a lot coming out for it very soon. And everybody have a good one.